Josh Holden joining us, I believe, from Switzerland today. It's been a very long time since we chatted with this Regina Pats great and Vancouver Canucks first-round pick. We're bringing him in. There he is, Holden, smiling already. How you doing, Josh?
Yeah, all good. Thank you. Super happy to see you two donkeys on the show here.
Well, I heard you were going to roast me, and I thought, anything that you knew from 25 years ago is long gone, Holden. The statute of limitations is over. But I got to say this. I just happened out of the blue to be talking to Perry Shockey on Saturday, your old coach. We hadn't talked for 15 years. We're talking about old Pat stories and stuff. And he goes, say hey to Holden for me. Couldn't believe that you were coming on the air. So it's kind of a nice. Have you noticed the pandemic has kind of brought everybody together from years and years and years ago, and it's still continuing?
Yeah, absolutely. Really cool. First of all, there's been a few things that have happened in the career, and I just want to thank Perry Shockey for saying hi to me, because I remember one time in Tri-Cities, I said something to him I shouldn't have, and I've always regretted that. So the fact that he still wanted to say hi to me, that makes me feel good. But I was friends with his son, Josh. We lived together in Calgary and went to high school together. Know the family quite well, and so that's really cool to hear from, like you said, like old people coming back out of the woodworks. That's awesome.
Well, I can tell you, by the way, that Shocks has forgotten about it because it never came up. But for those that don't know, I got Holden down here. And look at these numbers, Jared, by the way. Not like you don't know because you were around, but Josh Holden, 4 seasons with the Pats. By season, 20 goals, 57 goals, 49 goals, 41 goals. First round pick of Vancouver, and I was there with. Was it not in St. Louis that you guys were selected? You and Mo won back to back.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a fun day, and then on into the NHL with the Canucks, the Hurricanes, and the Maple Leafs a couple of times, and then finished up in Europe. By the way, and that's where I'd like to start, Holden. How's this European thing gone? Yep. Clearly, you love it because you never came back.
Yeah, Yeah, being a first-round pick was awesome. Coming out of junior, I think it was just timing and whatnot that didn't quite crack it. But at the end of it, after playing 6 years in North America, the 04-05 lockout kind of talked to my agents and was a bubble guy like all the time. And they came up with the idea, like, what if you just go to Europe and try it for a year, guarantee yourself a contract? So we went to Finland and was home every night. Was never gone, didn't miss any first steps, any birthdays, any cool events from the family side. So that idea of being around the family and playing hockey, playing less games, no travel was very enticing. And then 04-05 in Finland, and then got offered a contract in Switzerland, went there, and 15 years later, still here.
Looks like you haven't aged a day, by the way. Here's the sad thing. You're only 6 years younger than me, by the way. You probably thought of me as being ancient when I was the voice of the Regina Pats, but your 40th birthday, your mom asked me to send you a greeting. Yes. How did that go, by the way, your 40th?
Yeah. So really cool. Thank you so much for reaching out. So what my wife did was she created a book, and she reached out kind of through different people to try to make a connection to different people that were important in my life. And ironically enough, my mom threw your name out there, reached out to you. And so I got a letter from you in the book. So it was kind of humbling, to see that she had done some work and to kind of, show me that she cared about me and had a good career, because it was kind of at the end last year kind of playing. So to be honest, it was, like I said, extremely humbling, but really cool that you were a part of it there, Rod. So thank you.
Well, good old Jody and Betsy. I told her I would do anything for your son, Josh. So I'm glad that it all worked out. Jared, you jump in here anytime. I'm trying to remember. I'm looking at Josh's years. Did you guys overlap?
Played 1 year. I only played the 1 year. I played against Josh that year
with the Blades.
Yeah, I was playing Pat Canadians when he was with the Pats. So I remember there was maybe a couple team parties and stuff where both teams were kind of around, met the boys a little bit. But I wanted to ask you, Josh, when you see this hockey that's going on today, What do you think? Do you wish you could jump in at all now with this kind of the newer game, less hooking and holding and less of that stuff? Because you were quite skilled, as everybody knows. How do you think you'd fare in today's game?
Yeah, it's extremely entertaining. And I think if you kind of compare, like I watch a lot of NHL games, but being in Europe and kind of comparing them both and seeing both, it's the skill side of it is great. The only thing that I would not say is concerning is you see a lot of big hits and guys looking for maybe a little bit more skill where they leave themselves vulnerable. I'm not saying everyone, but just in general. Whereas you can probably relate, Jared, us growing up, like you felt like there was someone chasing you around the ice and you had to always be alert and always know where every player was. Whereas now I think guys are kind of looking more for the dangle and the highlight play rather than kind of like the simple, straightforward, keep it easy type thing. But I enjoy it, honestly. I think we got some really highly skilled guys. I mean, we got this kid on our team here now that he could play in the NHL. He's fast enough. His shot is one of the best in Europe. And it's exciting to watch, and that's only one. There's a handful of them, so it's a different game. I don't want to say I miss the rough and tough and being scared, having to go play in Saskatoon against Wade Belak and Chris McAllister and those guys, but it's still a great game.
Holden, by the way, you mentioned a guy on your team. Like, I see you on the ice in your Instagram. Like, are you coaching now, or what are you doing over there?
Yeah, exactly. So a few years ago, I kind of had the opportunity. The team made a coaching change, and I'd been, like I said, we were 15 years in Europe, so 13 years in Switzerland, 12 years in Switzerland as a player. And then the last 2 years as a coach. This is my third year as a coach. So the team that I was on the last 10 years is in a small town called Zug. It's about 25 minutes outside of Zurich. And they were making a coaching change, and the new coach coming in was kind of blind to Switzerland. He's a Norwegian guy that actually grew up kind of in Sweden, so kind of has this Swedish Scandinavian coaching style that he uses, and he wanted someone that knew the league, knew the culture, knew the players. So kind of basically had the opportunity to stop playing and move right into kind of assistant coach position and kind of have this guy as my mentor, which has been awesome the last 2 years. And this is the third year. And 2 years ago, we made it to finals. And last year, of course, everything happened because of COVID, but we ended up second in the league. So pretty excited to learn from this new style coaching from Dan Tagnes.
Listen, we're not going to get on you about mixing up the years. I know math was never your strong suit, Holden, but a couple things that I got to say. Shocks, I'm going to talk about your coaching in a second, but Shocks brought up, because I know how good you are, I saw you every day. You would have flourished in any era because of your skill and all of your abilities and your attitude, but it was your wrist. And Shocks brought that up. It was 98, right? And he goes, we lost the series based on Josh getting his hand skated over and the tendon severed. I remember the doctor's name that did the surgery, Dr. Chang. I remember everything about it. Mm-hmm. I think everybody knows the story. So, and I just said what it was. How did that change your life?
To be honest, I have not really talked about it. I mean, it's hard to explain because, like you said, the injury. So in your hand, you have 2 ligaments and 12 tendons over top. And I severed 10 of them as well as the 2 ligaments. I remember that. So the only finger that was 100% was my pinky. And there was even a skate mark in the scaphoid bone that he showed me. So I remember being awake for the surgery, and before he sewed it back up, he said, do you want to take a look? It's your last chance. And it looked basically like a pulley system as I moved my fingers. I had some tests done a few years after that because it just was never really 100%. And at that time it was like 40%. It definitely didn't get any better. So First of all, it's not at all what happened in the NHL. I think it just was timing and some other guys coming in and trades and drafts and all that. And I think I was immature, but to go through that, at the end of your junior career and then try and turn pro, that sucked. But at the same time, I ended up luckily being blessed to play 20 years professional hockey. With the weather change, I still feel it all the time. There's still a big bump in there from scar tissue, and my thumb doesn't go up. So if I go like this, it's so yeah, there's still some stuff there, but it was a life-changing thing. Maybe it was for the better, because I ended up having a great opportunity to come to Europe, and have been here and raised my family, my girls and son, and the whole works, and we've rooted ourselves here for now.
Well, I look at it, and we all do, and say, how good could he have been? But I also know your family's background, similar to mine, and that everything does happen for a reason. And obviously, you've had many years to think about it, and you've come to that realization. So good for you. But lastly, I'll just say this. You mentioned the apology to Shocks. Now that you're coaching, which incidentally, so am I, not in hockey, but in something else, I wanted to pick up the phone and apologize to every coach I'd ever dealt with in my life, because I'm like, I didn't get it till now. Did you have that feeling when you started?
Yeah. It's funny, the same kind of birthday book that you reached out to with a letter, I also got one from Mark Crawford. And my first year pro, I had Mark Crawford and Mike Keenan as coaches. So anyone that grew up in the 90s and early 2000s knows that's two extremes. But Mark Crawford ended up coaching over here in Zurich. He was coaching in Zurich when Austin Matthews played here as an 18-year-old, and I was playing in Zug. And I bumped into him a couple times, and he actually commented on some earlier situations as me as a younger guy, but said some really positive things that, looking back on, I just was like, what the heck? I was so immature. I had no clue. And yet he just was challenging in the way that he thought best at that time. And again, then like you said, that's only one of the coaches that you kind of want to look back at and be like, man, I wish I would have taken those words that he said at that time and applied them, because, it definitely would have helped maturity, helped development, helped that process of jumping into challenges sooner and quicker. Definitely would have helped me at the time.
Well, I'll tell you what, any coach that you've had will be just very proud that you did get it, and you're giving back now. I know I am. So this is people writing in. This is a great interview. Now they got the questions for you. How long should we go? I don't want to keep you too long, Holdy. Jeff Krieger writes.
I got all night.
Uh-huh. You got all night what?
Go ahead.
You got all night what?
No, I got all night. My girls they don't have school this week, so they're out and dancing in the living room. I'm locked up in my oldest daughter's room, so fire away. I'm really excited to be on here and see you two guys, so please.
Okay, sure. Well, Jeff Krieger wants to know, what's Josh's best Pats memory?
Oh, best Pats memory. I can't remember which year it was, but I think we had I think it was the second or third year. I know Brent Parker was in charge, and I think Rich Preston was the coach, and we ended up having a winning streak of I don't know how many games or home games or something like that. Obviously, the best part about sports is winning, right? So when you put that together and you have that support and everything, I mean, that was pretty awesome. But if I have to say, as a unit, I think as a team, the year we beat Lethbridge there in that first round, that was such a battle. I think we ended up winning 4 straight.
Yep.
Second year, right? So my second year in Regina in 95, 96, right? We beat Lethbridge 4 straight. And against Byron Ritchie, I still get in contact with him nowadays. It's funny to see how things come back around and you become friends with guys that you battled hard against. But that playoff series was not a 4-0. It was more like a 7-game overtime type series. But that's one that kind of always sticks with me.
Of course, because one game went to 4 overtimes and a referee got beat up in it, and there was a court case. So I was just, well, of course, talking to Shockey about it on the weekend because Shocks was on their staff for Lethbridge, as you recall. So, anyways, I could sit and go on about all day, but we should move on because we're gonna talk about the NHL draft and a return to play. But Holdy, thanks for this. I appreciate it. I was very excited when I saw that you were on the board to come on the show Monday. So, thanks for keeping in touch. Because it's not like we haven't been keeping in touch the last while. And stay safe. Good luck getting back on the ice. And hopefully we can do this throughout the winter.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jared. Good to see you. And Rod, super proud of you for what you're doing over the years here. And I've been following you on Instagram, and just from one friend to another, super proud of you. And it's great to see the efforts you're putting forth into the community.
Thank you, Josh. You're the best, man.
Good to see you, Josh.
All right.
Josh
All right,
Holden
guys.
checking
Take care.
in.
See you, dudes.
This is unbelievable. It's like he's on the other side of the wall, really. Not the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And yet we couldn't get CJ Gable from L.A.
Too far.
Internet ghosts.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.